Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to Crime Zone. Authorities in Fairfax County, Virginia are asking for the public's help this week as they seek to identify a suspect in a strong-arm robbery case, one with a rather unusual calling card. According to reports, the situation began at around 8 a.m. on the morning of August 22nd, when the suspect robbed a man at a McDonald's location in the Seven Corners area of Fairfax County. After pulling out a knife, the suspect was able to force the victim to hand over an undisclosed sum of money before taking off in a blue Ford SUV. While the robbery itself wasn't all that unusual, what caught the attention of the victims and witnesses alike was the robber's strange appearance. In addition to wearing a patterned shirt and a black cowboy hat, he was accompanied by 3 colorful birds, one of which was perched on his shoulder, the other 2 which sat on his hat. Images and video of the so-called Bird Bandit, as he has now been dubbed, were later recovered from a nearby 7-Eleven convenience store. Authorities are now hoping that by circulating these, a member of the public might be able to help them make an identification. The suspect has been further described as a Hispanic male who is believed to be in his late 20s or early 30s. Anyone with information about the man is encouraged to reach out to Fairfax County Police. Authorities in Coweta County, Georgia say that a local man recently gave new meaning to the term porch pirate after he was accused of quite literally stealing the entire front porch of his neighbor's house. According to reports, the whole thing started earlier this month on August 14th when police received a report about the bizarre theft. The victim stated that a full 8 by 10 foot porch complete with stairs had been stolen from their property, further explaining that while their home might have looked abandoned, it was not, and that there were no trespassing signs clearly put up all around the property. An investigation soon led police to a local man named Robin Swanger. A multi-day search was launched, during which Swanger apparently returned to the property with the stolen porch and left it there turned upside down. However, he was eventually arrested on August 13th after police received a call about a domestic disturbance between him and his wife. Speaking about the incident after the fact, a representative from the Coweta County Sheriff's Office explained that the stolen porch was made of good quality lumber and was actually valued at around $3,000, saying, quote, "Some people may shrug their shoulders and say it's not a big deal, but you can't just go and take stuff off of someone's property." At the time of this recording, Swanger is reportedly facing a felony theft charge as well as 2 counts of domestic battery. Authorities in Macon County, North Carolina say that a local woman is in serious trouble this week after she allegedly made multiple hoax reports that she had been murdered. The whole thing started on August 18th when 37-year-old Margaret Frances Maggie Elizabeth Sweeney was reported missing to officials with the Franklin Police Department. Both the Department of Social Services and a friend of Maggie said that they had received information from an unknown source suggesting that Maggie was either in serious danger or that she had been killed. Concerned that they were dealing with a possible homicide, Franklin Police immediately launched a missing persons investigation. In the meantime, the community was on high alert, with friends, family members, and neighbors of Maggie's understandably worried that something terrible had happened to her. When Maggie was found alive and safe the following day in an adjacent town, initially everyone was relieved. However, things quickly took an unexpected turn when police discovered that she had never been in any danger in the first place. Instead, they now say, she was the one that made the anonymous reports to her friend in social services claiming that she had been murdered. On August 21st, Maggie was arrested in connection with the alleged hoax and charged with filing a false report to a police station, falsely reporting a death or serious injury by phone, and obstructing law enforcement officers. In a statement after the arrest, a representative from the Franklin Police criticized the 37-year-old's behavior, saying, quote, "Sweeney's actions caused our department, as well as other departments, many hours of work, which could have been spent on other matters. Family, friends, and the community as a whole were also very concerned and worried about Sweeney's welfare. At the time of this recording, no motive has been provided for the alleged hoax. Authorities in Cobb County, Georgia say that they have arrested the boyfriend of a 22-year-old Instagram influencer this week, just one day after her body was found under chilling circumstances in a wooded area near her home. According to reports, the incident began just after 12:15 p.m. on August 24th, when firefighters in the town of Austell were called to a field near Joe Jerkins Boulevard in Landers Street. Though they initially believed they were responding to a brush fire, when firefighters arrived at the scene, they found a vehicle fully engulfed in flames. Once the wreckage was extinguished, police learned that the vehicle was registered to a nearby homeowner. Upon arriving at the house, they discovered that the homeowner's daughter, 22-year-old Beauty Coweta Couch, hadn't been seen for more than 24 hours. Disturbingly, she was also the one that normally drove the now burned-out vehicle. After returning to the scene of the fire, police scoured the surrounding area. It was here, in a section of woods, that they made a horrifying discovery: the body of Beauty Couch. Her cause of death has so far not been released, but police quickly determined that the case was a homicide. Upon further investigation, authorities identified Beauty's boyfriend, 21-year-old Eugene Louis Jacques, as a suspect in her murder. The following afternoon, he was taken into custody in St. Tammany Parish, Louisiana, after police learned this is where he could be hiding out. He has since been charged with murder, arson, and aggravated assault. Beauty's devastated family and friends say that they have no idea how or why anyone could have done something so terrible to her. The 22-year-old college student reportedly had a bright future ahead of her and was known for being kind, loving, and fun to be around. In her spare time, Beauty enjoyed making dance and roller skating videos, which she shared with her approximately 150,000 followers on Instagram. At the time of this recording, the motive behind her murder remains a mystery. The friends and family of a 21-year-old college student are mourning her tragic killing this week after it was announced that she was recently murdered while heroically trying to protect her mother during a chilling domestic violence incident. The situation unfolded in the early morning hours of August 7th when the victim, 21-year-old Washington State student Angelina Tran, awoke to a terrifying situation in her Seattle home. After hearing loud sounds coming from the kitchen, Angelina went to investigate, only to find her mother, 50-year-old Lynn Ngoc Tran, under attack at the hands of her 54-year-old stepfather, Nhiep Kine Chow. Upon seeing Chow punch Lynn roughly 15 times in the head, Angelina desperately tried to intervene. She succeeded in getting her mother away from the brutal assault, allowing her to run and hide in a nearby bedroom. However, it was at this point that she became the subject of her stepfather's rage. Chow wrestled Angelina to the floor, then grabbed a large knife, which he allegedly then used to stab her in the chest repeatedly. The horrifying assault was reportedly captured by a home surveillance camera in the kitchen, which recorded as Chow stabbed Angelina a staggering 107 times. At one point, he allegedly left to change his clothes before returning, grabbing a second knife, and continuing the attack. Though Angelina sadly had no hope of surviving the nightmarish stabbing, her intervention saved her mother's life, allowing her crucial time to hide in her bedroom and call the police. When officers arrived at the scene, they encountered Chow, covered in blood and still holding a knife, who informed them that he had just killed someone. He was taken into custody immediately afterwards, while Angelina was pronounced dead at the scene, and Lynn was taken to a local hospital for treatment. Under questioning, Chow allegedly admitted that he fully intended to kill his wife as well had he been able to find her before police arrived. He apparently attempted to explain his actions by saying that he thought Lynn was going to divorce him and take all his money, and that he became angry with Angelina when she tried to block the attack against her mother. According to reports, Chow and Lynn had been married for close to 20 years, meaning that he knew Angelina for almost her entire life. Chow's only prior criminal history was apparently a fishing violation from 2006. The 54-year-old remains in custody and is now facing charges of first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. In the meantime, those close to Angelina have been left to mourn her death. She was described as an excellent and dedicated student who tried hard to make a difference in the lives of others, specifically through her years of volunteer work for the elderly. A GoFundMe has since been set up in her honor, 100% of the funds from which are going to be donated to the National Asian Pacific Center on Aging. Indiana state troopers apparently wanted to send the message that they aren't messing around when it comes to impaired driving, after they arrested and charged a local man this week who was behind the wheel of a children's toy. According to reports, it all started around 9 p.m. on August 23rd, when a state police trooper spotted the 51-year-old suspect, John McKee, driving a blue Power Wheels Jeep on North 2nd Street in Vincennes Township. Though McKee was apparently pulled over originally because he was driving the toy Jeep on the road with no lights or reflectors in the dark, things escalated when the trooper noticed some signs that the 51-year-old might be intoxicated. He was asked to perform a roadside sobriety test, which he allegedly failed. After being taken to a nearby hospital, it was reportedly determined that McKee was under the influence of both marijuana and methamphetamine, and he was placed under arrest. He is now facing a felony charge of operating a vehicle while intoxicated with a prior conviction. The Power Wheels Jeep, meanwhile, which reportedly has a maximum speed of 5 miles per hour, was picked up by a local towing company. Authorities in Orange County, California say that 4 people are dead this week, including the gunman, following a terrifying shooting at a popular local bar. According to reports, the incident unfolded on the evening of August 23rd at a bar in the community of Trabuco Canyon called Cook's Corner. Though the establishment bills itself as the oldest motorcycle bar in Southern California, Cook's Corner apparently couldn't be further from the stereotypical image of the seedy biker bar. Instead, it's reportedly a place that welcomes all sorts of people and is a popular spot for many locals to hang out. At around 7 p.m., things were in full swing at the bar. The place was packed with people who had come to enjoy the weekly spaghetti night, while others were there to listen to live music being performed by a local 5-piece band called M Street. Unbeknownst to everyone, though, just minutes later, things would take a tragic turn. It began at approximately 7:04 p.m. when 59-year-old retired police sergeant John Snowling entered the bar armed with 2 handguns. After walking up to one of the tables inside, he reportedly pulled out one of the weapons and without a word, shot a woman in the face. He then began firing more shots at people in the vicinity, seemingly at random. By the time police arrived at the scene roughly 2 minutes later, Snowling had reportedly exited the bar and retrieved 2 more guns from a truck that he drove to the scene. He continued firing, culminating in a shootout between him and deputies that ended with him being shot and killed. Sadly, Snowling wasn't the only casualty of the terrifying attack. 3 people were killed during the shootout, while a further 6 were injured. The 3 deceased victims have since been identified as 49-year-old Tanya Clark, 53-year-old Glenn Sproul Jr., and 67-year-old John Leahy. Most of the names of the injured have not been released, though 2 of them are said to be members of the band that was playing live music at the time. Another was Marie Snowling, the alleged shooter's estranged wife, who is believed to have been the primary target of the attack. According to reports, John and Marie Snowling had been married for more than 30 years until Marie filed for divorce last December, citing irreconcilable differences. In the intervening months, John Snowling had moved to a 7-acre property in Ohio with his dog, though still apparently owned a residence in Ventura County, where he formerly worked for nearly 3 decades as a police sergeant before retiring. Lawyers for the family say that Snowling was having a hard time accepting the divorce from his wife, though claim that there was no indication that he would ever do something like this. Authorities now say that on the night of the shooting, Snowling drove to Cook's Corner, where he walked up to Marie's table and shot her. The next person to be shot was Tanya Clark, who was eating dinner with Marie and who reportedly ran out of the bar trying to get help before tragically succumbing to her injuries. All the other victims were allegedly shot at random. At the time of this recording, the situation is still under investigation. Authorities in Jacksonville, Florida say that 4 people are dead this week, including the gunman, following a disturbing shooting at a local dollar store, an attack which they allege was racially motivated. According to reports, the chilling incident began just after 1 p.m. on August 26th, when the suspect, later identified as 21-year-old Ryan Christopher Palmater, arrived at the Dollar General store location on Kings Road. Armed with a rifle and handgun and clad in a tactical vest, mask, and gloves, he proceeded to open fire on people both inside and outside of the business. The first victim to be attacked, 52-year-old Angela Carr, was shot through the front windshield of her car as she sat in the parking lot in front of the store. Palmater then allegedly continued inside, where he shot 2 more people, 19-year-old A.J. Laguerre Jr. and 29-year-old Gerald Deshawn Gallion, before firing at several others. Sadly, all 3 people who were hit died as a result of their injuries. When police arrived at the store several minutes later, Palmater turned his weapons on himself before officers could engage him. He was also pronounced dead at the scene. The devastating situation took an even more horrifying turn when authorities learned the alleged motive behind the attack. Prior to turning his weapon on himself, the 21-year-old reportedly sent a text message to his father instructing him to use a screwdriver to get into his room. It was here that Palmater's father reportedly found his son's last will and testament, a note on his laptop explaining his actions, and several manifestos he had apparently written declaring his hatred for black people. Police later disclosed that one of the weapons the 21-year-old used to commit the attack had a depiction of a swastika on it. Based on these details, plus the fact that all of the victims were black, and that Palmater specifically traveled to a predominantly black neighborhood to carry out the shooting, authorities are now calling the situation a hate crime, with Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters saying during a press conference, quote, "Plainly put, the shooting was racially motivated, and he hated black people." These sentiments were echoed by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who called Palmater a scumbag, who, quote, targeted people based on their race. Following an investigation, authorities say that they believe Palmater left his parents' house in the town of Orange Park at around 11:40 a.m. on the day of the shooting. Prior to the attack, he reportedly traveled to the campus of Edward Waters University, a Christian and historically black college where he allegedly changed into his tactical gear. While there, he was spotted by a security guard who reported the suspicious activity to police. However, by the time they responded, Palmater had already driven off towards the crime scene. As for Palmater himself, police say that he had no prior criminal record. He was apparently involved in a 2016 domestic violence incident with his brother. However, no arrests were made in that case. A year later, he was involuntarily committed to a mental hospital for examination, though no further details about that appear to be available at this time. The situation is under investigation. Before we wrap up, we'd like to take a second to give a huge shout out to everyone who has made it this far into the video. Seriously, thank you so much for watching. If you found today's upload interesting and informative, we'd be honored if you'd consider liking and subscribing, as well as hitting the notification bell and selecting all notifications to stay up to date with our latest releases. If you're looking for additional ways to help support the channel, we'd love to have you join us over on Patreon. Patrons get ad-free and early access to all of our content, as well as 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. You can learn more at patreon.com/crimezone, where you'll also find some of the fine folks whose names are currently on screen. All that being said, we understand that not everyone has the means to support financially, and that's totally okay. We appreciate every like, sub, share, and comment that you send our way. Once again, thanks so much everyone, and take care.